Outreach, your differentiator. Outreach, without a doubt, is the best way of getting noticed when you are trying to flood different companies with either love bombing or your application or getting noticed. And what ends up happening is a lot of people treat every job application the same way. They hit apply and they never come back. They never hope to hear from them because they get ghosted all the time. You will stand out in an incredible way if you follow these really simple instructions. I've tried to dumb down this stuff to keep it as simple as possible. When you apply to companies through the applicant tracking platform, when somebody sees you, you are a line on a spreadsheet. You aren't even a person really with a name. They don't know who you are. So, in order to stand out in a great way, you need to continue to ping them in different ways. There are lots of different ways to do this. You could do this via email, you can do this via LinkedIn. You could show up at their office. I'm not recommending it, but lots of people have had success, myself included, with doing LinkedIn outreach alongside applications. So, what I have always coached people on doing is making sure that you do 3 connection requests for every single job application that you put in. That means it's either somebody from the HR team or it's somebody that is potentially an equal of you within the organization. Usually a hiring manager, the person that you assume you're going to interview with, and then somebody C-level. This person does a pretty good job outlining the purpose of doing outreach and why sending something in the way of a personalized connection request really, really helps. So watch this, pause now. I think it's a really nice take on, yeah, some really basic outreach on LinkedIn. For those that were not a theater major, there's a lot of basic rules within improv that apply to either connecting with people, networking, or just engaging online. And one of my favorite rules of improv is always bring something to the table. It's a yes and. So if you are connecting with somebody and you're trying to get noticed, bring something to them that is interesting or acknowledge something that they've done. And that comes in the form of either customization, personalization, or referencing something they've done in the past or potentially are working on now that you can see from the outside. If they do respond, don't block. If they're saying something about something that you have already reached out about, don't shift gears right away. Acknowledge. There's lots of areas of how improv is directly relational to doing well within jobs. I'm not going to get into that. That's not what today is about. But again, the most important thing that I think people overlook in the job search is not taking the time after they apply to connect with 3 individuals from the company. This allows other people within the company to ping whoever is initially reading the resumes, but it also puts you on the radar. So again, it's your equal or somebody within HR. I always try to avoid HR people unless they're kind of bigger companies. The hiring manager, the potential person that will interview you, and depending on your role, that could be lots of different people, somebody managing the department, director, it just depends. And then, yeah, for smaller startups, but maybe corporate companies, it's somebody that's in the C-level. For startups, it's definitely a founder. It's so easy to do this. It takes literally no time and it will allow you to get a foot in the door and recognized and stand out in a great way. I always, always, always personalize my connection. So I'm not just sending like a random connection out. Super easy to do that. We don't hit the follow button, we hit more, then connect. Then we have this pop up, add notes, and then you put in your custom note. It's that simple. It's so easy. I don't know why people don't do this. When you have the premium account, you get 300 characters. When you have a regular LinkedIn account, you don't get as many connection requests per month, and ultimately you have less characters to play with. That's just part of LinkedIn's game they play. I always try to bring positivity and some spark moment that I can find about the company. Compliments will get you everywhere. So, compliments their company, their career, their work, their job, their previous jobs, anything that they've posted, if they've ever created an article. I mean, you could stalk these people and show a crazy granular amount of information, and most people will come away super flattered. This is where spark moments really shine. So, something that's been in the news, a recent blog post, industry reports, an event that they participated in that was maybe posted on somebody's LinkedIn, or maybe they liked something. You can go through and do a pretty thorough audit of a company and find lots of these little spark moments bring value. Who knows? Lots of really cool ways of not just saying, hey, I'm applying for this role. This is me. Let's connect. I think lots of different cool ways of doing it. There's this crazy TikTok channel by this guy named Troy Hawk. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Hawk, where he is basically going around giving completely amazing, disarming compliments. And this is what you really want to aim for when you're doing this outreach. So pause here, watch this video. He is the master of this. It is incredible. And I always love when I find this guy's stuff because yeah, no matter what country, what city, like, I mean, obviously, he has to do it in English, it's impressive. So, yeah, by the way, this also really works when you're doing this types of like observational compliments in a networking setting at events and stuff like that. I've personally used it and it fucking works. It's amazing. On that note, for some people that maybe are not great with doing small talks, I mean, the Nordics are known for this, they're terrible at this stuff. I think the game is just picking up very small observational details and adding a little playful spin on it. This is a slightly longer video. I'm glad I found it. It's outstanding and it kind of gives a more psychological explanation of why this works and how it works, and a couple of examples of what to do. And honestly, if you find a couple of these that work for you, you're going to go super far in life in general. So it's a great way to, yeah, find something new about reaching out to people or engaging with people online or in person. It works for both. I am a huge advocate of creating templates so that you don't have to masterfully create these things from scratch every single time. It'll drive you nuts. And I will include the templates in this. So the workflow is usually you are sending this connection request with this personalized message, and that goes out. They have to accept the connection request before you can follow up or engage with them. It is extremely rare that somebody accepts my connection request and then says, yeah, this is super interesting. It is usually on me to immediately follow up to say, hey, thanks for connecting, and then add follow up details or follow up questions or engage further. And a lot of people mess that up. They're like, I keep getting all these connections and nobody responds. It's like, well, that's not really the nature of how LinkedIn works. LinkedIn basically gives you a very small notification of like, yes, this person has accepted, but the onus isn't on them, it's on you. Like, you're doing the outreach, so you have to take the lead in engaging. I hope that makes sense. It's relatively straightforward. Basically, yeah, I'm not going to go into that again. That's crazy. Um, I've often found that sometimes like the simplest tricks are the best ones. So there's this really great quote from Mr. International Worldwide, a certain rapper named Pitbull: ask for advice, get the money twice. For whatever reason, in the nature of how humans work, when you are asking advice on something, people feel compelled to help a lot more than when you are asking them to do something directly. This works when you're doing sales, this works when you're trying to get your first customers. Getting feedback on something or getting advice on how you would go about doing something and positioning them as the expert allows them to kind of take their guard down and say, oh, you just need a little bit of help. Yeah, I'm happy to help. No problem. Now, this doesn't work in every single culture, and I can definitely tell you without any reservation that in the Nordics, it is super hard to get people to do anything for you if you are not of their persuasion. But I think it's a really interesting angle if you're asking, how did you arrive in this role? What got you into this industry? How did you get your start? I'm attempting to do the same, and I'm obviously a number of years behind you, but I'd love to understand what you did in order to get to where you are and how I could do that for myself. A lot of people will kind of pause and be like, okay, yeah, I can give you like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, quick cup of coffee, whatever. It works. I promise it works because I've done it. In terms of the outreach resources, I've built out a number of briefs. I've built out a number of prompts. I've provided a crazy amount of templates, examples. It's all in here. So if you open up any of this stuff, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised that there's lots of good stuff in here from the standpoint of how one would go about building their own or using my existing templates to make sure that you're doing outreach properly. The other side of it is here with the individual templates. Now you can use ChatGPT, any LLM of your choice, and basically swap in all of these custom fields. All of these merge fields allow you to put in the target person's first name, their job title, their company, so that you're not manually replacing these over and over and over. Everything in green is their company, everything in yellow is you. That way you're able to figure out which ones you need to replace. I don't recommend doing this super manually because it is very time consuming, but it does work. I have provided a very simple way of doing this with some automation. It is a completely different course to do this fully automated. There are a lot of different ways. It's not 100% free to do it that way, and I will allude to some of that, but that is, again, that's a whole different course. So things that I often hear, people are like, oh, yeah, like great idea, but nobody's accepting my connections. It's like, okay, bro, how many did you send? It's like, well, at least 10. And it's like, all right. Well, I mean, we have a difference of understandings of like what success looks like. So you're probably looking at a acceptance rate of, let's say on a great day, 20%. So that's 2 out of 10 of your connection requests will be accepted. Realistically, it could be 5%, 10%, which means either 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20, which is pretty crazy. So the things that you can't control are how people perceive you. You can control your messaging so that the perception shifts. So the things that you can change that will give you a higher possibility of getting these connections, your profile. Nobody connects with somebody that has sales in the title. So find a different way of talking about what you do without calling it selling. Also, your profile, if it's super bare and there's nothing in there about your background, what you've done, like people are like, is this a scam account? Like, what's going on? Why don't I have anything in there? We've already done the LinkedIn updating stuff in this course, so we're going to move past that. Your messaging, if you are using the same consistent, boring as shit templates, you are not going to get responses. Take unique angles. Try weird stuff. Like it's okay. And if they don't accept it, it's not the end of the world. The more of this you do, the more of this you realize that there are millions of people out there and thousands upon thousands, well, millions of companies too, that are potentially never going to interact with you. So if you say something weird or embarrassing once, fine. It's like, dude, we're not going to know each other. We're strangers. It is what it is. Get over it. I've personally found that shifting targets and changing industries or changing focus allows you to tap into less competitive landscapes that allow you potentially to get more and more connections. And there's certain industries that just don't exist on LinkedIn. I know from experience trying to build a architecture software as a service product, architects don't use LinkedIn very much. So if you're in an industry that not a lot of people are on LinkedIn, I get it. Like it is what it is. Email is your game, not LinkedIn. Have to try different channels to make it work for you. There's always different ways of DMing and finding people. You just have to, again, get creative. Unfortunately, it is at the whim of other people, and that is the game that we play. That's where we are. Just remember that nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you don't take the time to do this outreach and you assume after maybe the 10 connection requests that you sent that it's not working, I promise you have to do a lot more. This is always, as I've said a bunch of times, this is a volume game. There are going to be natural delays between messaging. If you are able to respond more quickly to these people or even automate that, that always helps. But also don't expect connections to be accepted the same day. Not everybody is a crazy person on LinkedIn like all hours of the day. I consider myself a pretty regular user, and I can go days without responding to messages. I know it's not perfect, but yeah, this is one of many, many different tactics. But I think it's one of the most powerful ones that allows you to stand out outside of the spreadsheet. Okay, so I'm going to show how we do this manually. I'm going to race through this because I think most everybody kind of gets it. I think the real secret sauce is how do we actually build some of these customized templates and how do you get access to the resources, which is in there. So I am definitely going to show you how to do some AI tailored messages, but ultimately, like it's a volume game. You just need to continue to send these out as you're doing these applications in order to stand out from other people that may be looking for the same opportunities or jobs if you're doing this alongside job boards. There is so much to be covered here, and I'm going to try to race through it because I know it's not like the sexiest thing in the world, and then we'll get into some more cool tactics and different ways of doing outreach on email.